Okay, let's do a short wrap up to our prior video, which was a rebuttal to the hyperbolic statement that so-and-so camera is the best in the world. um, we have to ask ourselves, what it is we're going to do. I mean, I hate for anybody to waste money, and I don't give a damn what you shoot. I mean, I do if you piss money away, and I would that if you were to ask a question, you're like, oh, you led me astray, and I bought this camera when I should have bought that one. Oddly enough, I've not had that comment. I never have, and that's a good sign. I mean, been selling cameras for years, but I mean, I just want you to have the best camera. I mean, Nikon doesn't have their hand up my fanny, nor does Fuji, nor does anybody else. But I have the skills and experience and intelligence to be able to ask a specific set of criteria and not be an absolutist. Because when you go to a camera store, you say, what's the best camera? It's like, well, this is the best camera. I mean, when someone does that, you need to walk right the hell out of the store because they have no idea what the F they're talking about. Because they should have asked you what I asked you. What's your budget? What is it that you shoot? Or what is it that you shoot mostly? Well, if you said I'm a general shooter, then I would direct that into another set of criteria. There is an eliminative process by which intelligent recommendations can be made. Now, I could state for someone that doesn't have a camera at all, they're going to be shooting all sorts of crazy crap, family birds, whatever. And it's like, I've mentioned that this is an epic steal, the DC-100. Countless thousands of you bought it off my recommendation, and other than one person that got a bad copy, which of course is not my fault, they've all said, they're happier than a pig in crap. And well, that's a good thing. I'm incredibly happy that you're happy. And, you got a great deal, and that leaves you room for buying like a speed light and a few sets of lenses, or one or two lenses. And, even a relative of mine was asking that recently. So what's the best camera? It's like, well, I can't tell you. What do you mean you can't tell me? You know all the cameras. Like, yeah, but I need more information. Otherwise, I'm just talking out of my ass. Like, you go in a camera store, what's the best camera you got? Well, this is a really good one. They should have never said stuff like that to you. And I worked in a few camera stores, and I've heard that thousands of times, and I know that's what they tell people. And I go into camera stores, and I hear that being said, and that's not a good recommendation. I mean, it's just not. I used to work in a few gun stores. Like I said, I'm a concealed carry instructor for the Department of Criminal Justice. There'd be these little skinny anorexic chicks come in, and one place worked on commission. And what do you think that schmuck on commission would do? Well, he didn't give a damn if that was a skinny little chick that had pretzel crackers for wrists and arms. I mean, he'd sell her a big-ass honkin' hog leg. That's what they call it in the South. They call a big, powerful handgun like a hog leg. And, she'd go out and shoot that thing when she would, why did you sell me this gun? Jesus Christ. I mean, it's ridiculous. Even my muscular boyfriend thinks it's too much. That's not good. That's not, life is short. Don't lead people astray. Don't jack them around for money, for God's sakes, I understand what the hell commission is there for, but you know what makes better commission than peddling expensive crap to people that don't need it and ultimately wouldn't like it? It's being honest with people and actually making intelligent. He's like, and they'll go back home and go like, I know that guy works on commission, but he actually asked me what it is I shoot, my needs and whatnot, and he made an intelligent recommendation that wasn't the most expensive, but I got exactly what I wanted and a great deal, and I love it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's ultimately how commission pays off in the far end. I'm not doing this for commission. I'm talking about someone else that's pimping cameras or pimping guns. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to ask what it is they're doing, what their budget is, and what money they have ultimately for the ecosystem outside of the camera. Like, well, I got a great camera. Well, great. What have you shot with it? No, because the camera was right at the limit of my budget, and I'll have to wait a half a year to have some money to buy a lens for it. It's like, oh Jesus, who sold you that camera? It's a good camera, but now you got no money to use the damn thing. It's sitting there collecting dust. So we have to ask ourselves a spectrum of criteria, and well, how do I put this? I don't like someone stating that, this camera is the best camera in the world. Camera's a broad-ass term, by the way, mind you, and that's not right. But this isn't about that. Let's move on from that, and let's make an intelligent conclusion based upon the facts and what makes up the criteria of someone's needs, budget and what it is they plan on using it for, and also the longevity. I mean, a lot of stuff people, well, they never factor that into it. Sony cameras, for example, undeniably and irrefutably have horrible, horrible resale value, because you and I both know that within a year, that camera is going to be pretty damn worthless. Okay, just pretty damn worthless. I mean, this camera, this Nikon D3 here, right now, it's rocking on 9 years. And this camera will sell hotter than hell. It'll sell hotter than a $5 hooker in a I mean, it just sells hot. It's like, well, that camera's old, man. I mean, who would buy that old 12 megapixel? That camera sells hot. Hot. You got a good quality Nikon D3. I mean, that sucker will just, it'll fly. I mean, it's just, people are happier than a worm in a pile of poop to own a good quality Nikon D3. Really holds its value. 5 years from now, that camera will still be selling hot if you got one in good condition. 1 year from now, the latest Sony will be, try getting rid of that thing. So that's a consideration too. Like if you want to upgrade, you have to think down the road. So if I want to upgrade, is this camera I'm buying one of those techno toys? And the cameras that always are not worth shit, and this is a fact, you can't deny it, you can't refute it, the cameras that aren't worth shit 1 year down the road are hobbyist cameras. What's a hobbyist camera? It's a camera that has more buttons on it than the person has IQ in their head. They just are more buttons than they have brain cells in their heads, what I should have said. I mean, it's like, wow, man, I can study this camera, and I can study its pixelation and like talk about it to everybody else over a diaper and pee review and pet it and kiss it and sleep with it and never shoot any pictures with it, and in a year it is an outdated piece of crap that you couldn't give away at gunpoint. It's irrefutable. A year from now it's like, well, that's old news, dude. As soon as you bought that, it's like a computer. It is obsolete. It's got a expiration date on it like a jug of milk. So that's something to consider. You want to upgrade down the road, you've lost all your money because it's a hobbyist camera. Hobbyist cameras aren't worth crap short term down the road. It's fact, it's undeniable. Deal with it. Let's go to some criteria. Like I said, durability. Is durability a concern? Obviously none of these are going to hammer a nail. And none of these are going to take repeated drops. So the Nikon D3, for example, and the D700, essentially, are the most durable DSLRs ever made by anybody. Canon, doesn't matter who the hell it was. Nikon beats the shit out of all of them. What are the ergonomics? I think this little sucker is wonderful. I mean, especially with bad weather approaching, I'm going to be out. I better not say that. I got some goth folks that want like a photo shoot out in the graveyard, and I'm not too interested in having my camera exposed for 2 hours out in the green. I'll keep this underneath my jacket. I guess I can carry a camera bag with me, but I'm only going to bring a couple speed lights, a pack of stands and reflectors. In other words, 2 stands and 2 umbrella reflectors, and this sucker I can keep it underneath my jacket. It's this, like I have a motorcycle for back trails for the pickup truck when I don't have a pickup truck. I got a motorcycle here for the back trails to hit the spots that I want to hit because it has a certain criteria and a certain set of attributes that I want. So all of these are the best in their own criteria of what it is you want. Now, I'm not stating that you need to have a dozen cameras like I've got. I mean, that's obviously completely irrational for nothing short of 100% of people, but you have to ask yourself what it is you're going to shoot. So what are the peak intentions of design? Like the peak intentions of the D810 are sports action and portraiture. It's just an absolutely divine portraiture camera. Nikon D750 I'm filming this video on. I mean, if you're going to be shooting clubs and raves and parties and doing low light crap, candid streets, or in the dusk and whatnot, I mean, that camera will resolve detail out in raw files. I mean, you can shoot the ass crack of a well digger at 3 o'clock in the morning and still pull out details in a raw conversion application. So that's the winner there. By the way, the sensor in the Nikon D610 is the same sensor in the Nikon D750 I'm filming this on, but then someone will logically ask, Well, how can that be? Because D610 doesn't have anywhere near the capabilities the D750 does in low light. And the answer is SNR firmware. That's why the most important part of your camera inside there ain't the sensor, baby. It's all that firmware shit that actually interpolates the image that's gathered at the gate of the sensor. So SNR firmware is as important and sometimes more important than the damn sensor is. Sensors have kind of equaled out as far as their sensitivity. The quality is pretty much equaled out. I mean, you don't hear anybody making, shit sensors. They're failing left and right. I mean, you don't hear like, so-and-so's making shit sensors and these people are making yeah, that crap isn't out there. They've all gotten right across the board, okay? So that's not really something to concern yourself about. By the way, Sony's only one of 4 or 5 suppliers that Nikon uses for sensors, so stop saying that the Sony sensor is inside your Nikon. It may be and it may not be. The sensor in this D3 is a Matsushita, which of course now is Panasonic, but the sensor in this D7100 is Toshiba. Always loved Toshiba cameras. They really are. Toshiba merchandise, excuse me, their electronic was always high class. They always beat the crap out of Sony when it came to like cassette recorders. Yeah, I know that's old technology. So each one of these is the best camera in the world, and of course there are certain sub-attribute cameras that fit within the same criteria. I can only put so many cameras on this table, so I would hope that you would make a logical decision based upon what you need, what your budget is, and what your budget for your ecosystem is. If it's a new camera system, it's like, well, I've got this budget, I'm going to blow it all in the camera. Well, that's great. Now you got no damn money for a flash of lenses. So it's not about the best camera, rather about the best photographer, because it's about the best photographer, who knows how to use the right tool for the right job. As I mentioned in the prior video, a Lamborghini might be one of the best cars in the world, but you drive that bitch underneath 20 miles an hour and it just drives like a shitbox. That camera was not meant for stop and go traffic, for heading down to the stop and puke and grabbing yourself a 6-pack of Miller Lights. I mean, that car sucks ass. And so, it's best for driving on the highway and blowing the shit off of everybody else on the interstate. Kind of like back when I had my BMW convertible and I would crank the music up and go down I-75. That was so dangerous. I'd just sit there and I'd tap on the gas and I'd be up at 120 miles an hour. Just like that. So dangerous. I mean, cars would be coming past me like... Stupid. Stupid. I can't believe it. Everybody that has a BMW turns into a dickhead. When I had a BMW, I turned into a dickhead. Because, people, everybody's got a BMW, they go, meow, they drive right past you just like you're standing still. And then everybody has especially if you got a BMW convertible, and especially if it's red, they turn into obnoxious drivers. Anyway, that was obviously off topic. Anyway, I want you to buy the best camera in the world. But the best camera in the world is no specific camera. The best camera in the world is one that you can utilize the full capabilities of what you intend to do with it. And that is the answer. And in which case, all of these are the best camera in the world, and none of these are the best camera in the world. Well, that sounds reductionistic. Well, it may sound that way, but it's absolutely true, and it's irrefutable. That is the nature of the beast. Deal with it. Just make the logical choice based upon those criteria, what your budget is, and then you'll be happy. And like I said, one thing nobody mentions, like I said before, is to consider the resale cost. If it's a hobbyist camera, that sucker will be outdated in a year, and good luck upgrading, because nobody will want that old, stale, out of date. It'd be like having a jug of milk a year later. Well, I got a Sony camera, and the expiration date was about 6 months. You can't give that thing away. You just can't. Well, I spent $3,000 on it. Yeah, well, guess what? I'll offer you $500 for it. That's what it'll be in about a year and a half. So take that into consideration, because that is a key important point. Someone wants to upgrade their camera, and they've lost their ass because it has no value anymore. Okay? So, hopefully I made that abundantly clear, if not repetitive, as usual. Okay, bye.